Yep.
If someone is studying the space right now and learning from everybody's mistake, they can be on top in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, being the best and being first early doesn't necessarily mean you will be there for the long term, right? I mean, Amazon has already announced that they're launching an NFT marketplace, right? Like, think about the disruption Amazon created
In the
when it
world!
came to shopping. Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of Girl in the Verse, the video podcast. Reminder that we are on YouTube, so if you want to see my guest and I, make sure you come find us up on the tube. As always, smash those likes, hit subscribe, and comment down below, especially today because I want to get your thoughts on today's hot topic. Are we still buying NFTs? Now, to help me basically, I guess, figure this all out at this moment in time in this space, I've got Joey here today with a degree to small business and entrepreneurship, running his own company with close to 20 years of business experience, ranging from startups to big corporate companies, anything from operations to sales and everything in between. Now, Joey started his journey in NFTs in 2021. He's helped launch a project in March of 2022, and he's also launched his own Web3 agency in April of 2022. Thank you so much, Joey, for being here today.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. Am I blushing? I feel like I'm a little red. Am I a little red? Maybe. Hi, thank you for having me. I absolutely love to do this stuff. I am a complete ham for the camera and the microphone.
This is a first for me, having, been in this space for such a long time. I guess now over a year. I keep saying over a year. It's gonna start.
It's a long
I'm gonna
time
have
for
to start
Web3.
saying 2 years because
Yeah.
I just keep saying over a year. But this is very different. I think you are potentially maybe my first guest who's actually super comfortable in front of a camera. Because in the NFT Web3 world, we're so used to hiding behind our PFPs, our profile pictures, which I think apparently doesn't really stand. PFP doesn't stand for profile picture, but that's another segment for another
it does,
day.
doesn't it?
No, apparently it does not. I can't remember what it is.
I
but
thought it stood for profile picture, PFP.
Well, apparently not. I'm not gonna. Don't quote me on this, but I heard that that's not actually he's gonna look it up.
Oh yeah.
But where I was getting at is a lot of people are hiding behind their profile picture, right? What is it?
PFP is an acronym in texting and social media. It means both picture for proof and profile pic. So it's both.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Not bad. Okay.
No.
So don't quote me on that. I must have seen it on TikTok or something. No.
Interesting, but I just learned something new today. That's
Awesome.
exciting.
Exactly.
It turned into an education session.
Yeah. But so back to this, this idea of hiding behind a profile picture, and NFTs were all the craze, I think, back in 2021. What would you say? When do you remember it being such a hype?
The bull run.
Yeah,
the bull run was like Q4 2021 into Q1 2022. So that's where we started to see, Jake Paul, Lil Wayne, DJ Khaled, like all these people promoting, right, NFT projects. Because what had happened was, so Bored Ape minted out in early 2021. And there was like this, they started to get notoriety and they started to grow and build. And then all of a sudden, okay, so this is just my opinion, okay?
Tell me.
Okay, this is my opinion, all right? I'm not an investigative reporter, but I'm also intelligent, right? And I believe in the whole, like, if you can see it, you can feel it, you can, all that stuff, right? And I personally believe that Bored Ape, and this is why we're seeing a lot of these class action lawsuits. I personally believe Bored Ape, those guys went out to these people like Justin Bieber, Ronaldo, like all these famous people early on. I don't know who were the first ones, right? But went out to Jimmy Kimmel, Paris Hilton, right? All to these people and said, buy a Bored Ape, right? Talk about it. Really, you're not going to pay for it. We're going to give it to you, but we're going to make it look like you bought it. Um, and it started this immense like hype train. Everybody started to look for the next Bored Ape,
Or started
and that's
creating their own, right? Like that
yeah,
that's what we saw too. Yeah.
correct. Started trying to create their own NFT PFP, and that ushered in the bull run. The bull run did two things. One, it really expanded the community, and two, it ruined the community,
Mm.
right? And I said, and I am not shy about this. I talk about this all the time. It was great because it brought in a whole lot of new people to the space, but it completely ruined expectations, and it completely ruined what the actual technology is for NFTs. Everybody was focused on just a JPEG animal,
The
right? Like,
art. Yeah. What it looked like.
is it even? But here's the thing: is it even art? Like, I was on
How
a
dare
Spaces
you?
the
No,
other
I'm kidding.
day. No, I was on a Spaces the other day where we were talking about this. Like, because you own one of 10,000, and I'm not picking on them, pudgy penguins, one of 10,000 that was randomly generated. Is that really art? Right? Like, to me, it's I don't know. It's debatable, right? Art is subjective, but so that bull run really it created unrealistic expectations of how you should be operating a business. If you're going to call yourself a project, that's like a side hustle, right? That's like something that you're just doing for fun. But when you're raising tens of millions of dollars, this is a legitimate business, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, people are welcome to chime in, but most businesses don't go out and crowd fund $10 million dollars with no business plan, right? Like, it's just not how you do it,
So
right? Like,
walk
if
us through it, Joy, because you've done this yourself. You've launched your own business, right? You've compared
many,
you compared a lot of these businesses to a bit like Shark Tank, what we see on
yep,
television. Maybe walk us through, because we're gonna get into some hot takes here. Walk us through what a typical, let's say, mom and pop business right now, right? What do they have to do in order to get that funding?
yeah. So I apologize, to anybody's watching, if I make you dizzy. I move around a lot. I'm an Italian New Yorker, so a lot of hands, a lot of moving.
Hey!
Hey, yo, that's why my nickname's Joey Vowels. I'm from Brooklyn. Um, but yeah, so like I'm not shy about who I am and my age. I'm 42, so I remember season one of Shark Tank. So I've been watching Shark Tank long enough to where I actually understand what Shark Tank is, right? A lot of people started watching Shark Tank at like 6 years old, and they have no clue what's going on, right? They just see people getting deals and whatever, right? But so, and for somebody, I have a degree in small business and entrepreneurship. I've started my own business. I've worked for startups, right? So like typically, when you want to start a business, you bootstrap that business, right? Like you go out, you max out your credit cards, you take out a home equity line of credit, you ask friends and family, right? And you build something, right? And if you've watched Shark Tank, you will know that I mean, 99% of the time, they will not invest in a pre revenue business. They just don't, right? Like, they could be like, you don't have a business, you have an idea.
No,
You don't
no.
have a business, you have a product, right? Like, so unless you've come up with something that absolutely is mind blowing, they're not going to invest in you. What do? You go to something like Kickstarter. NFT projects during the bull run, they it was all glitz and glamour, right? They had really fancy websites with motion graphics and 3D and video games, and right, like you're gonna win you're gonna win a trip to the moon, or you're gonna get a ride on a private jet, right? Like, and
Female empowerment. We are gonna, all women are gonna come
charity
together.
this, and yeah, like, yeah, they would tell you anything and everything to like hook you in, right? And then they set that hook. You would spend like, it's crazy to think that ETH was like 4 grand and people were spending $1,000 to mint one NFT, and it was because there was some pretty stuff on a computer screen.
People weren't
Like,
going to work the day of a mint to
no,
ensure that they were
yep,
going to mint out these NFTs.
yep, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I joined the NFT space. I didn't know anybody in it.
same.
Didn't have any friends, nobody. I say I put myself through NFT college. I lost a lot of money. I minted a lot of rugs. secondary. I held projects too long, right? Like it makes me so sad. I'm still
I like
holding a
that NFT college. I should tell myself that to give myself
yeah.
more compassion.
It's so sad. I'm still holding a Cool Man's Universe, and it's worth nothing.
Oh
It's
God,
so
I
bad.
remember. That's funny. I remember Cool Men's Universe. So I don't know
It
what's
was a
worse,
blue
but I
chip.
remember. But okay,
Yeah,
so back to this concept, right? So NFTs during the bull market were sort of doing what you're saying typical businesses don't do, which is
opposite.
okay.
Yeah, they were doing the opposite, right? Like they had no business plan. They had no product. They had no revenue. They had no real like no plan on how to generate revenue, and people were just giving them millions of dollars, right? And 99% of them ran with it. They left. They didn't care. They either rugged or slow rugged, where they would pretend like they were going to do something and then they would just leave. But the ones that stayed around, they've tried, right? Like Doodles has tried, Cool Cats has tried,
A
you know,
zucchini.
yeah, Azuki's. I mean, but really, like, what have any of them done? Like, Yuga's probably the only one that's. Here's the thing,
It's the holy
people.
grail for a lot
Yeah,
of
but like,
people.
but what have they done? All they do is keep giving you more NFTs. And if you don't sell them, then you're really not making any money. Like
You
they
have some
have no
cool
revenue
merch,
model.
okay, Joey? There's some cool like Bored Ape merch, black
Yeah,
hoodies, nothing for women,
yeah,
might I
yeah.
add?
But no, but if you notice though, a lot of them are all they're all down. They're all down bad.
Yeah.
Moonbirds, like all of them, they're all down bad because it is not a sustainable business model to rely on secondary royalties as your source of revenue when now you can't even enforce those royalties.
Ugh.
So now they have no money. So all of these companies, you look at like Doodles, you look at Yuga, you look at um, um,
Moonbirds, any
Cool Cat,
of them.
all of them, right?
Yeah.
All the money that they raised it all during the bull run, right? At the peak of when ETH was up, when all this stuff was up, because they were literally being valued on like, oh, well, look at all the secondary revenue, look at the price of ETH, and now all that is
So that's my question to you, Joey, right? I started this whole episode here saying, are we still buying NFTs? I guess they're not buying them as often as they were before, is probably what we're seeing right now. Like, what is your hot take on this? Should we be buying NFTs right now?
so. I think that there is still money to be made if you're very strategic with how you buy NFTs, right?
Okay.
Are there still some profitable mints and flips? Yeah, of course, right? But
But then that's the degen stuff, right? Like that's
one of the biggest issues I have with Web3 and NFTs is the verbiage
eh.
that's been adopted by the community.
Well, that
Like,
there's that word,
what?
community.
Yeah, right. That's another one.
Yeah.
So, like, they call people like flippers and traders, they call them degens, right? But there are people in this world that are very successful day traders, stock market, um, currency, Forex. They're not degens. Those are professional day traders. So, like, why do we feel the need to degrade somebody who trades by calling it same thing when they call like to me like if you're not into NFTs and web3s you're a non-native, right? You're not a native web3 person, you're not a native. They call them normies.
I call them normies. I do. I call my friend normies now.
White papers have a clear definition. I have yet to read a real white paper from an NFT project. They're
Yeah.
just info papers. It's an infographic, right? But we like to like rebrand words and create new words, right, to fit when all we're doing is ostracizing the people that we want to be onboarding. And
Yeah.
that's why Starbucks has been so successful. So I do think that there's still money to be made in the space. I don't hold any IP NFTs. I think they're all garbage. I think they're all going to zero. The chances of any of them becoming a fraction of Disney is like slim to zero.
Ah.
So I see no value in holding a cool cat, a pudgy penguin, a sappy seal, um, Any of those. I see no value in any of them personally. I think anybody who's buying them at multiple ETHs either has money to waste or is an uneducated investor.
Okay, wait. Why? My question to you is
Okay,
why this
simple.
peak?
Okay, can I ask you a question? In the last 5 years, how many new IP brands have come out? Not NFTs, real
Yeah,
world.
real breads. I know. I'm trying
Yeah.
to think. I've only ever noticed them going away.
Okay, so who? Name one.
Like an IP.
Yeah, like
Like I know a lot of them try to compare themselves to like the Minions, but I don't really.
yeah, but okay, but think about it though. Who created Minions? Fox.
Yeah,
Fox,
Fox.
right? Fox and Universal, right? So like again, so like we're still living in a world where Ninja Turtles are cool,
Yeah.
where Power Rangers is now making a comeback. Disney, Marvel, Hello Kitty, My Little Pony, right? Like you could argue some of the newer IP stuff are like Bluey, Pepper Pig, right? Like some of that
Oh
stuff is
yeah,
like
I forgot about Peppa Pig.
yeah, but that's like newer, right? But think about that, right? Like we just sat here and tried to think of like new IP brands that have come out, and I think Peppa Pig's older than 5 years,
It's true.
right?
Think so.
But like, so you think about like what it takes to establish yourself as an IP brand that can generate millions of dollars of revenue, and it's really hard to think of any of them that have come out in the last 5 years. But you're telling me that those pudgy penguins are it, and those sappy seals and those cool cats, right? Like the chances that one of them is becomes this global IP brand is small, let alone five of them, right? So like why you would want to spend why and here's the other thing. The communication in this space is absolutely horrid. You really have no idea what you're buying, right? Like Pudgy Penguins, they're like, oh, we're going to come out with toys and we have memes and we have, okay, but what does my Pudgy Penguin do for me, right? Like, is it like a collectible trading card, right? So does that mean that like if Pudgy Penguins becomes this global IP brand that's doing hundreds of $1 million a year in toys and games and movies and whatever, that someone's going to want to collect my NFT because it's like a trading card?
Or
Like
because
what
mine
it
has a blue scarf, like
yeah,
remember when we were going I remember when I started minting out NFTs, I would like go to my partner and say like, "Look at this rare trait I got." And I remember him telling me, "No one will care about rare traits in the next year."
no. They won't. No, and they don't right now. Nobody does. Nobody cares about rare traits. But that's the thing, right? Is like what are you buying?
Eh.
Excuse me, what are you buying for 5 ETH with a Pudgy Penguin? You don't know, right? So if they become this global $100 million, $200 million IP brand, right? Why will that Pudgy Penguin be worth 5 ETH? Maybe if they use it in a feature length movie and it's the main character, but there's 10,000 penguins,
Yeah.
right? Like, so like all of these IP brands are literally trying to become lightning in a bottle. So I just don't see until they can figure out a sustainable revenue model. To me, there's no value in buying. Now, if you minted them for like a couple $100, I don't hate you for holding them, right? Like, sure. But like to go out right now, like I was on a spaces this morning, they were like, should we be consolidating and buying more Yuga assets, or should we be looking for discounts like Cool Cats? And I said, but why would you buy a Cool Cat?
Yeah.
What are they doing? When I buy stock, I don't buy one share of Ford. I buy 100 shares of Ford, right? Same with Disney and Amazon, whatever. Doodle Putt was a huge
It
success,
was. I
right?
was there. It
Huge
was
success.
beautiful. It was
Yes.
a beautiful event. I mean, to the
Yep.
T, the way they dressed all their employees up, like
Yep.
every little detail.
Yeah.
Everything was beautifully executed.
So if that's the future of Doodles, real life activations, Doodle Putt, Doodle, I don't know, doodle laser tag, doodle whatever, right? Like if that's the future to generate revenue is to open up like doodle rama,
Like
right?
mini
And it's
amusement parks or like a Chuck E.
yeah,
Cheese version of Doodles.
yeah, right? Okay, go do it and start generating revenue and sell franchises and whatever. I still don't know why you would own an NFT at that point, um, but like they don't have a path to generating revenue. There's no path. Nobody, even Yuga, let's be honest, Yuga is the holy grail of NFTs. What is their path to revenue? Their path to revenue is other side, right?
The land, you right, for those who
Right?
don't get it, the land that they're building.
Yeah, but we don't even know what the plan is for revenue. Is it going to be a place where you can build, like is it going to be like a Roblox or like a Fortnite? Is
We
it going to
don't
be
know.
like we don't know, right? So like what is their path to revenue? To be honest, whatever anybody paid for all of these NFTs, they'll probably never get their money back. Let's be completely honest. They're not. I don't care how many other deed lands you hold.
With a
The
coda,
chances,
what about the
yeah,
coda?
30 ETH, 30 ETH to buy a coda, right? So you're talking, and this is like right now, 30 ETH is $65,000 to buy a coda, right?
So wait, so
How are you going
Joey,
to get that money
what
back?
is your suggestion here? With $65,000, your idea is, or what you're trying to say here today, with $65,000, go invest it somewhere else. Don't stop
Buy
buying
real
NFTs.
estate. No, buy real estate. Listen, I love NFTs, but I love NFTs for the underlying technology,
Mm.
right?
Which is
I
what?
believe.
Tell us what is this?
So, for
By the
example,
way, I just want
Ticketmaster.
to say to everyone down, like everyone watching, please comment your thoughts. I want to hear from you. Do you agree with
Roast
Joey?
me.
I want to know. I want to know if you agree with Joey. Okay, Joey, tell me, what is the
Yeah,
underlying tech here behind these NFTs?
sure. So, Ticketmaster just made an announcement today that they're starting to integrate NFTs. Let's look at like um, concert tickets, right?
What?
One of the biggest issues with concert tickets is that there are companies out there that when tickets go on sale, they are able to go buy like thousands of them and resell them, right? Sometimes like the Super Bowl, for example,
Yeah.
right? It's like $1,000 for a ticket if you could buy one, or it's like 35,000 on the secondary, right? So, not that I think the people like the NFL deserves to make more money, right? But why shouldn't the NFL be able to collect money if you go resell your ticket for $30,000,
Mm.
right? So the ability to integrate smart contracts into or behind the NFT is what makes NFT so unique. Like, why are you able to sell a house with an NFT? Why are you able to sell a car with an NFT? Right? Like, so smart contracts are the technology that backs NFTs and then the blockchain beyond it. So, for those of you that don't know what a smart contract is, a smart contract is essentially a handwritten contract, but in the digital form, right? So it's a computer code that says, if you do this, then I do this. When you do this, I do this. And it's all coded into the contract behind the NFT. You connect with your digital wallet. You have to sign something that says you agree to all of the terms in the smart contract, which is why you should always make sure that you are careful what you are signing because you will get your stuff taken from you.
Yeah.
Security, number one,
Yeah, for
always.
sure.
Um,
So
so,
wait, so just so people understand, so why would someone resort to a smart contract today, which was the idea of becoming the owner behind everything else I was doing or selling or, whatever I was
yeah,
holding, right? So explain to us, why would Mrs. Joe be interested in having a smart contract attached to an NFT attached to her home that she will eventually sell?
yeah. So, two things that are really important to understand is that the blockchain is a public ledger, right? So, you cannot interact with the blockchain privately, which means that everything you do can be seen by everybody.
Yeah.
So there's no shisty business, right? Like so if I mean there's always shisty business. But anyways, the point is that it's a
It's
public
it's
record.
public,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
We get to
public, right?
see all your
Yeah.
shenanigans now.
Yeah, where all the money goes and right like There's no private bank accounts in the Cayman Islands and whatever, right? So the beauty is it can only be done by the person who has access to the wallet, right? So there's no like forging a signature. So if I hand you a paper contract and I say, hey, listen, here's the contract to buy my house, you sign it. And then all of a sudden you say, I never signed that. That's not my signature, because maybe you wanted to write a fake signature. This is really my signature, right? That's fake. Whatever, you take me to court, you fight it. With the blockchain, as soon as you connect your wallet and as soon as you interact, there is no turning back, right? That transaction happens and it's done. And there's no way for me to fake you connecting your wallet and signing that contract. So what you can do is you can include all kinds of variables into smart contracts, which is great. And there's no human element to it. So like we're constantly seeing innovation when it comes to smart contracts. Like we just saw a new smart contract come out, the 4337, which allows for like reoccurring payments, which no one ever thought that was possible.
Yeah.
So now we can set up monthly subscriptions through smart contracts. There's now smart contracts that allow me to lend out assets and automatically take them back, right?
Yeah.
Based on a specific time. So like smart contracts are the advancement of computer coding and legal contracts, right? And when big brains start to sit down and figure out and now we have AI too, which is incredible. But combined with AI, the what we can do with smart contracts is so incredible. And for things like real estate, for things like ticketing for events, like I've also used the example of Disney, right? So like let's look at like Disney for example. I buy an annual pass to Disney for $1,000. It means I can go to Disney as many times as I want throughout the year. What if 6 months into my pass, my business transfers me to Oklahoma? I'm done now for 6 months. I can't go. I live in Oklahoma. I've now lost out on 6 months of my annual pass. Disney doesn't care, right? I already paid that $1,000 up front. But why Disney does care is because now I'm not buying merch. I'm not buying food. I'm not staying in the hotels. I'm not, right? Like there's
No, no, no,
all,
no.
so like what people don't understand at a place like Disney is you don't make money on the annual pass. You make money on them coming and spending money. It's the same with season tickets, right? Like they don't really make money on season ticket holders. The reason why they sell season tickets is because they know they're going to come to every game and buy beer, buy hot dogs. They're going to pay for parking. They're going to buy merchandise, right? That's where they all make their money. So imagine now if your NFT,
Yeah.
if your ticket to Disney was an NFT. Now I moved to Oklahoma. I can sell the last 6 months of that annual pass to somebody else. Disney can take a percentage, 10% of the sale, right? And now they have somebody who's going to come to the park for 6 months and spend money on food and merchandise and right, like so the technology that exists underneath the NFT is the future, and that's where people should be bullish, not on JPEG pictures of animals.
So, okay. So right now, we're in 2023. Spring is here now. Are we buying NFTs? Are you minting NFTs right now, Dre? Because I'll tell you, I am not minting anything right now. I'm like you said, we just graduated from college. I've learned from my mistakes. I
Yep.
am now going to take my hard earned cash, right, and spend it on things that I feel like will still be here. So you mentioned real estate. And again, guys, this is not financial advice, but
Yep.
what are you suggesting?
I am buying NFTs.
What?
I am buying some NFTs, but
Okay, you
I'm
are.
only buying it. I'm buying things that I want to collect. So, for example, I just minted an NFT called um, it is called the Can You Dig It NFT, and it's a collaboration between Iconic Moments and the Hip Hop Museum that's opening in New York. Right, so
So
it's this.
so let me get this straight. you're not you're not so much, and I'm not going to say you're frustrated, but it's more of this idea of people are betting on these IP NFTs, but you're still here minting out NFTs as a collection sort of standpoint, very different from the way we are currently
Correct.
seeing people
So I
mine.
think one of the greatest uses for NFTs in the blockchain are collectibles, right? So like, for example, let's say let's use the Mona Lisa as an example, right? I want to own the Mona Lisa, but I don't want to risk anything happening to the Mona Lisa, right? So I can lock the Mona Lisa in a fireproof, waterproof vault. But if I own the Mona Lisa as an NFT, I can decide one day I want to sell it, right? And for 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, whatever, right? So like I think so like for example, I used to collect comic cards, baseball cards, football, right? Like trading cards. I mean, I have boxes, right? Like of cards, right? But now instead of physical cards, we can release collectible cards in the digital form, right? Where they still have value, the same as a trading card would. So if you had a rookie LeBron James trading card, but instead of it being a physical card, it was just an NFT, it's the value's the same, right? It's still the rookie LeBron James. So I think there is value in NFTs as collectibles and artwork, right? So I think we can do a lot of things on chain that replace the need for stuff IRL. Because like it's back there on my shelf. I have an autographed baseball from Joe DiMaggio.
Wow.
Yeah, but you know what? I was given to me as a kid. The signatures faded because it was in the sun. It wasn't protected, right? So like, but if there was a way to do that as an NFT, that ball can stay hidden somewhere safely,
There's a
and I could sell the NFT if I want, and in exchange I ship them the ball or something, right? Like there's so many things you can do with the blockchain. You can do fractional ownership,
yeah.
right? Which I think is huge. Um,
I was also
so for
thinking,
me,
so for myself personally, I'm not a collector. I never cared for cards. I don't even understand people who still collect Legos today. It is mind boggling to me because I played with that as a kid and then just let it go. Like I just on to the next
yeah,
thing, like even Barbie. I don't know. I'm not even sure right now that I would mint a Barbie NFT. I don't know. For me, I'm more about the experience I'm getting with my NFT. So like I really am all for what's going to come with fashion and potentially music NFTs. What I'm sort of gathering, like I'm a bit disappointed with Ticketmaster. I would have much rather them come out with their own way of token gating any concert and not having it, well, you need to own the artist's NFT, which I'm also bullish on, but I would have much rather see Ticketmaster do their own thing. Like come on, create
well,
your own.
the music industry has already started to be revolutionized by NFTs because so for those of you that are older, back in the day when you wanted to get your music out, you would make cassette tapes or CDs and you would pass them out to people,
Yeah,
right? Then
my
the
mixtape.
evolution, yeah, mixtape, right? Then the evolution was, people would put their stuff on Napster and LimeWire, right? And then it was Spotify and SoundCloud or whatever. But anytime you wanted to actually make money, you had to sign with a record label,
Yeah,
right? And we all know record labels take a ton of money from you, right? Well, maybe you're an up and coming artist and you don't want to launch with a record label. So what do? You launch your music as an NFT, right? And you can sell that song as an NFT and you could tell people, hey, listen, this is the first song I've ever put out. It's $10 to own the song. If I become famous and you own my first song for $10, you will get 1% any revenue that's generated from that song. So think about like Mariah Carey and her Christmas song. She literally just lives off of the royalties from that Christmas song
yeah,
and has been for like the last 20 years. Like for 1 month out of the year, she makes like something stupid like $10 million or
it's
whatever,
crazy.
right? So now imagine if she sold that song as an NFT and everybody that owned an NFT got a percentage, right? So like you can do all kinds of really cool stuff without having to sign up with a record label who's going to take all your money.
I want everyone out there to understand that in terms of being a content creator, a musician, someone who's making fashion, anybody out there who has some sort of idea, you know, and I think today we're calling them all entrepreneurs, which is fine, but it's taking back that ownership, that it's yours, that you created this,
Yep.
that it's yours, and that you can prove that with the blockchain. And I think that is what got me bullish in this space. But Joey, I want to go back to this whole concept of NFTs and IPs and IP NFTs. What advice would you give these top tier IP projects right now? What should they be focusing on now, spring to summer? What is their game plan? What should it be?
They need to figure out how they're going to generate revenue long term. For example, Pudgy Penguins has talked about toys,
Yeah,
right? And you think that that's the way for you to generate revenue. You need to commit to that. You need to tell your community this is where we're going. We're building out a toy line. It's going to be puzzles, it's going to be handheld games, it's going to whatever it is. But a lot of them they don't there's a lack of commitment from so many of these projects because in my opinion they don't know what they're doing. So the easiest thing to do is make an announcement about an upcoming announcement, which really doesn't tell you about anything, right? It's like, how do we keep our floor price up? We hype up an announcement that's coming, right? Oh, the floor price goes up because there's an announcement coming. Oh no, right?
yeah,
And then the announcement comes, and it's like, we're working so hard. You're going to be so excited. And
yeah.
then the floor price goes up, and then a month goes by and nothing happens, and the floor price goes back down.
I mean, look, it's funny that we mentioned Pudgy, but you know, VeeFriends has also been, you know, under attack lately. And Gary Vaynerchuk, I feel like pulled out a lot for VeeFriends. But it's an interesting one too because they came out with toys. It's hard to come out with a product that, let's be honest, 95% of the world has no clue what this is. They're not going to walk
Yeah,
into Toys R Us and be like, "Oh my god, that's a perspective penguin, like or pigeon, I think."
yeah. Like I have no right to be critical of Gary Vee. The guy is very successful. He's
100%.
made he's made a ton of money. I think VeeFriends 2 was an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. It was one of the biggest money grabs.
That I felt like was like collecting cards. That for me felt
Cash,
like collecting
yeah,
cards.
cash, absolute cash grab at the price they minted for and how many, absolute cash grab. Like VeeFriends Series 1 was so successful because it was a small quantity that was literally hand drawn by Gary that each one had some type of utility connected to it, right?
Yeah,
Like if you owned a specific one, you could go to a Jets game with him, you can go to a Knicks game with him, you could sit in on a investor meeting, you can
yeah,
do a Zoom call, right? Like kind of like the Trump cards, right? Like they all supposedly
yeah.
had some utility, right? And they had done so well. And then they wanted to expand their ecosystem with 55,000.
Which are cuter. They are cuter. Well, you can say that you own an NFT that, you know, looks like the one you can buy as a plush toy at Macy's.
But just go buy the plush toy. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like what are these people doing? And that's where I think a lot of NFTs fall short is they forget that you need to constantly be giving back to your consumers and your customers. And what they fail to realize or what they kind of don't think about is and why this happens, but web3 people constantly shun successful web2 business practices,
Yeah.
right? Like they ignore traditional marketing funnels. They ignore traditional
Communication
consumer
skills.
communication skills. They ignore consumer behavior and psychology. Like it doesn't make sense why you would ignore things that have worked for 30, 40, 50 years. Like why do prices end at 99 cents, right?
There's a lot going on there, but I mean for any project right now, I think everyone's feeling that burn. And now us consumers are here probably thinking, well, what do we do next? And like you said, a lot of people are thinking, well, should I sell some of this to go buy into another project? What does Joey suggest we do? You keep saying go buy real estate because, like,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, here's the thing. All across the world right now, the economies are struggling. It's not just crypto, it's not just NFTs.
Yeah.
So I believe in following the money. But if I'm going to invest in NFTs, I'm going to invest in technology projects, right? Projects that are trying to push and build the technology that exists under the NFTs over just IP.
We're talking about these NFTs, and I forgot to mention that most of these projects we're mentioning are on Ethereum, right? And now we're hearing about Bitcoin ordinals. We're barely hearing about Solana anymore. Sort of like right? Bitcoin ordinals came out. Yeah, it's interesting to see how now even Bitcoin wants to get it on the
Bitcoin
NFT.
ordinals are too expensive, right? So the future of NFTs on Bitcoin is high-end art, right? Like
Like
it's
a
too
Picasso,
expensive.
then.
Yeah, it's too expensive to inscribe and trade because of the fees on Bitcoin to launch like a traditional NFT project. Like Bitcoin ordinals, the Bitcoin NFT ecosystem will probably morph into high-end art. You've got, Ethereum, which has a stranglehold on the market. You've got Tezos and Kanto, which are kind of like the artist blockchains.
Yeah,
That's where a lot of like small artists will launch their projects. It's really inexpensive. Polygon just partnered up with Immutable X
yeah,
to create like to try to be the future of like
gaming.
Web3 gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Solana's just kind of living its life over there. I'm not bullish on them. They're like one of the only like there's a lot of issues with that blockchain.
I never
Um,
had the chance, or let's just put it, let's just say the real stuff. I just never, cared to learn about how to open up another wallet.
yeah,
Um, right? I just, I'll get to it, and I never did. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Like they have issues with their blockchain. They're not completely decentralized. So I mean, we'll see. I think there's room for everybody because it's a huge space, but you know, Avalanche is getting into NFTs. Algorand is getting it. I mean, they're all trying to get into it. Um, I think the future of NFTs in general are not quote unquote NFTs. They're going
yeah,
to be called digital collectibles. They're going to be called digital art. They're going to be called something other than NFTs, right? I think what has the term NFT has gotten such a negative stigma
yeah,
now. So National Geographic is one I was very outspoken about. I wrote a thread on them. So they partnered with some of the biggest nature artists in the world. Okay, very well known art photographers, not artists, sorry, photographers. And they did a drop where you could own their photography. When they announced what they were doing, they announced it with an article that had a picture of a bored ape and said, "Hey, NFTs are the future, blah blah blah, Bored Ape Yacht Club, blah 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 blah." Right? Like now, you're somebody who's into nature art and National Geographic.
you're not going to resonate with that Bored Ape. Yeah.
No, right? You're calling it NFTs. You're relating it to a Bored Ape Yacht Club. You're not speaking the language of your consumer, right? So the future of NFTs, I think, and Starbucks Odyssey program is telling us a lot, is you need to figure out how to speak the same language as your consumer. And it's not going to be NFTs. It's going to be digital collectibles. It's going to be digital art. It's right something around there because if National Geographic would have said, "Hey, we're partnering with 6 of the top nature photographers in the world and we're launching a digital art collection."
Oh, yeah.
Way different
So different.
than, right? So I think there is huge potential for the blockchain, for the technology, for NFTs. I do think that doodles, cool cats, pudgy penguins, sappy seals, people are going to hate me for this. Bored ape probably won't be around in 5 years. Like unless unless somehow they figure out how to create a sustainable revenue model that generates them. Because you think about all of them that have raised money, how are they ever going to pay their investors back?
Ugh.
Right? Like if you can't pay your investors back, eventually you're going to run out of money because those investors aren't going to give you money, right? So until one of them figures out how to establish some type of sustainable revenue model, I have no confidence that they'll be here in 5 years. Somebody else will come along. And if you look at it in business, right, and over time, most of the firsts are typically not there later, right?
I
Like you,
said that on a podcast weeks ago because we keep saying Bored Apes are the holy grail. No one can ever be better than them. And I did say it on a show. I said, well, we don't know that. We
yeah,
really, truly do not know that. I also, Joey, am under the impression that someone who is smart enough to study what is happening right now and like what we always say, right? Learn from people's mistakes.
yep.
If someone is studying the space right now and learning from everybody's mistake, they can be on top in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, being first, being the best and being first early doesn't necessarily mean you will be there for the long term, right? Like you said, there's a lot of really smart people that haven't even, I mean, Amazon has already announced that they're launching an NFT
Yeah.
marketplace, right? Like if think about what Amazon did, think about the disruption Amazon created
In the
when it
world.
came to shopping. Yeah, right? Like Amazon has literally shut down some of the biggest businesses in the world. Toys R Us, Sports Authority, right? Like so many of these huge iconic businesses have been shut down. Whether or not you want to say it was Amazon, I will. Have shut them down, right?
Yeah.
Like if I need a baseball glove, I don't have to drive to Sports Authority, deal with traffic and parking and waiting in line at the register, right? Now, if it's an emergency because I play like a lot of times Amazon can get it to you same day, but right? Like with Prime shipping, it's here tomorrow, right? Like so they've shut down some of the biggest retailers in the world. And you can't tell me that Amazon hasn't been sitting back for the last 2 years watching everything that's been happening and has said, "Okay, let's do it better."
Uh-huh.
eBay was like the first one. eBay's terrible. Like you said, they will learn from the mistakes and they will release something that's pretty incredible. And Yuga may or may not be there. I don't think so, but call me crazy.
Joey, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I feel like we can talk for hours,
Me?
okay?
No, no, not
I really
ours.
feel like we can talk
I'm
for
just kidding.
hours. No, I
I
mean it.
could.
This was so insightful. I think one thing about this space is the minute you go a bit off everyone's, violin singing and playing the sing-alongs that we tend to
Yep.
hear, we are automatically X'd out of the equation. We are officially fudders.
Oh, I
So
hate that word.
so I just want to thank you for coming on the show and really giving it to us straight, because I think some of us need to hear it now. I think it's been nice. This has been a fun ride. But thank you for giving it to us
Yeah, of
straight.
course. Yo, I just do want to say though, like a lot of times when I talk, it sounds I I'm anti NFTs and anti like Web3, and that's not the case at all. Like I think this space is the future. Like I faded social media. I was that person years ago that said this is stupid, Instagram is stupid, Twitter is
Who
stupid, right?
cares about what food you're eating?
Yeah, like I was that person and I missed out on an opportunity because I was at an age where like I had technology, right? Like I could have become an influencer. Not that I want to, but
Yeah.
right? Like so and I saw and I remember dial up and AOL and having to go to the computer lab because not everybody had a computer. So I saw what technology has done in my life. And I truly believe that this technology is the future. And I am extremely bullish on the blockchain. And for the record, crypto and blockchain are very separate. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what's going to happen with crypto, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not sure. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million. I don't know. But the technology of the blockchain is here to stay. How it's utilized, we still don't know. So I am very bullish on the blockchain and
And
NFTs.
I think it's important. I think it's also important to have both sides. I think, if, some people want to believe that Yuga Labs is going to, become the next Disney, then so be it. But I also, it's why I have this show is I want to be able to represent everybody. It's not just the one-sided thing that we keep seeing. And I think what's also important for people to know is we don't hold these bags. So I feel like
No,
I'm entitled to just give my opinion.
I don't hold any of them. I don't hold a
Exactly.
doodle. I don't hold a quote unquote blue chip. I don't. And people will say like, well, then you don't know. Oh, well, okay. Then you know what I usually tell people? I go, you have diamond handcuffs. So like we've heard the term diamond hands,
Yeah.
right?
Holding
So
on.
I
That's
call it
me.
yeah, I call it diamond handcuffs, right? Because when you buy into one of these projects, it's such a high entry point. You're literally handcuffed in
Yeah.
because you can't get out.
Yeah.
Who wants to, if you bought a Moonbird at 20 ETH when ETH was $3,000, right? You spent like whatever, what's 20 times 3,000.
Too
It's
much.
like 60,000 or something like that, right? Like you spent $60,000. Now it's worth like 9 or
Yeah. Of
6.
course you're going to keep it.
Are you really going to sell it? No, because you don't want to take a $54,000. So you're literally handcuffed in to supporting these projects, right? And I think that's the difference when you talk to people that actually own these assets is like they have to pump their own bags. They can't be honest about it because they don't want to lose more money than they've already lost.
Yeah. Again, I will say this is not financial advice, but a bit like
None.
Joey said, we both believe that blockchain technology is here to stay. It's why we do this show. It's why we're bullish. It's why we're here. It's why
Yep.
we're super involved, super quote unquote invested. But I will say
Yep.
invested our time. We've invested our time here.
Yep.
Okay. But of course, you got to do your homework. You got to do your due diligence, just like we have. We've been in the space for over a year and a half. I can finally, I will say, feel comfortable even giving my opinion because a year and a half ago, I was like, I have no clue.
Yep.
But today I can finally say, listen, I went to college, like Joey said. So now we can finally
Yep.
be here, give our 2 cents, but, always recommending everyone to do
Yeah.
their homework.
People are lucky. They're lucky. There's so much more out there now.
Yeah.
Like when me and you got in the space, like I said, like I lost a lot of money learning.
Again, Joey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, as always, the juiciest conversations are happening up in my DMs. You can find me everywhere on every social media platform before someone bans them, okay? TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
We didn't even talk about that. The
I'm on.
potential TikTok ban. There's
But
so
we
much we
are-
could have talked about.
Yeah, we're on every social media platform. Come say hi to me. Give us your thoughts about this conversation. Let me know what your favorite part was. If you're too scared to write them down here below for the public to see, reach out to me up in the DMs. I will put Joey's Twitter handle, everything down below. Make sure to always click the links that I provide in the description of this video. Not every other link you see out there. And of course, we will see you next time. Bye.